everyone. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching, and my guest today on the Business Spotlight is the co-founder and partner of the the Speaker Exchange Agency LLC, and you're out of the Kansas City area, Kansas City, Kansas. Woohoo, go Chiefs! Oh, sorry, did I just say that? And you are Brittany Kruetzer. It's very nice to have you here today.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for having me. And you said my name
Absolutely.
right. So thank you.
Absolutely. I think your business is so cool and you get to meet such interesting people. And I think everyone's going to like to hear your story.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So before we recorded, you told me a little bit about what you did at first. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and then how you started this business and how long you've been doing the speaker agency business?
Sure. So I went to KU and I was a journalism major. I really wanted to go into advertising and create ads. I was really creative. I loved writing. So maybe that was PR, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got out of school, jobs were pretty limited. And so I ended up working at a radio station group out of Kansas City selling advertising. So I did that for about 4 years. And, I would say radio sales is really tough, but I learned so much. I got my sales chops there. But I had interned at a speakers bureau in Kansas City in
Mm.
college briefly. And so I had stayed in touch with them. And in 2008, if everyone remembers 2008, everything came crashing
Right.
down. And so, I mean, radio was already hard. And I just kind of was like, I think I'm ready to close this chapter and go and try this. I interned there. I thought it was a really cool industry. No one really knows what a speaker agent does, but they
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exist. So I went back in '08, which there's benefit to starting in a job in '08 because you know nothing else. So for me, everyone's like, this is so tough. And I was like, I know nothing else. So there's
Yeah.
greatness in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for 4 years. And right after I had my daughter, my business partner, Julie, and I decided to branch off and start our own, kind of knowing that that company was going to close and there was
Okay.
nowhere for us to work anymore. And we love the industry so much. So
What a great story. And so this business has started then in '08. You started this
no, we started in 2012.
2012. Okay. Should have put the numbers together. Okay. So you've been doing it a little while now.
Yeah. Yep.
Congratulations. And how many do you have on your team?
So Julie and I own it, and then we have two other salespeople, two assistants, and someone that does accounting. So we're
Okay. Ooh,
small but mighty, is what we say.
I love it. Oh no. If you're big enough to have an accountant, you're in good shape. That's great. So you definitely met you. You definitely succeeded. Since you started in the industry, I can only imagine what's been the biggest learning curve for you. So you were in the industry before you started it, but what has been the learning curve for you as a business owner?
Oh my gosh, well, I didn't go to school to own a business. So, I mean, let's start
Yeah.
with taxes. Like, what are these what are these taxes we're supposed to pay at each year? I didn't know I was supposed to pay throughout the year. I mean, you're getting letters from the IRS being like, you're past due, you owe, you haven't signed up for your labor. I was like, I really wish I had a class to start, be like, check all the boxes and surround yourself with people that know and can help you. But there's things that are just going to be missed that you're not
Yeah.
expecting. And
Hmm.
so I think that was just, I think every day you're kind of on your toes being like, what don't I know that I will find out that I should know?
Sure. Mhm.
And I think there's still days like that where we were like, oh, shoot, you think we'd have it together by now, but there's something thrown at us that we didn't know was coming our way. And that's what being an entrepreneur is, just being on a roller coaster.
You're so right about that. And I think that's probably why there's not a school for it because there's too much. You have to learn it kind of as you go, I guess.
Yeah, you I say we just get thrown in the deep end when you're not an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
you might have like one little floaty to help, but like you don't have everything, and you just have to swim and figure it out and learn it. And again, surround yourself with really great people, uh,
Hmm. And
for
keep
sure.
the mindset going and keep the attitude going and learning. We always say you have to learn before you earn. And, if you get to the next a certain level of revenue in your business, you've got to learn new things, new tax strategies, new this,
Yeah.
new that. So you're always learning and learning and learning. Plus, you're learning in your own industry as well.
Yes,
So
100%.
a lot. So you're in this fascinating industry, speaker agency. Oh my gosh, that must be so glamorous. What do you think that people misunderstand about the industry?
I mean, lots of things. Well, first off, and I think people will be like, "Oh my gosh, I have the perfect speaker for you." Well, we're not short on speakers for sure, and we're always open. We love meeting speakers and learning about new speakers, but what we're really looking for is new clients. And so I think people just get real excited, like or they think it's easy to be a speaker.
Oh, uh-huh. Ugh.
Speaking is it's a craft. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to learn how to put your messaging together, how to put your marketing together. It's a lot of work. And I think people are like, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and be a speaker and make all this money. And, maybe one in 250, 500 people maybe do that. But it is a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of being gone from your family on the road. It's a lot of, not sure where when your next paycheck's coming because you don't make money
Uh-huh.
unless you're speaking. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved, and so I think people don't realize the sacrifices some people make.
Mm.
Um,
So is your client the speaker and the person who's hiring them? So you work for both?
yep. So we always say
Okay.
we're like a real estate agent, but for
Okay.
speakers. So definitely, I always want to have amazing relationships with our speakers, and we always do. We want to take care of them, and then
Mm,
we have our longstanding clients. I mean, I have some that are, I've worked with for 16 years. They know my family, like that kind of thing, and that we always want to take care
right.
of you. So we kind of sit in an interesting place where we do want to take care of both people.
Mhm. Well, I love that. And over 16 years or 5 years or 2 years, you're going to know what speaker spoke at their last big event and what they're ready for because you know them well enough. So maybe we're going to do something that's internal, intrinsic or something instead of outwardly motivating. I don't know, making all that up, but I bet you know who to recommend
Yeah, I
based
think
on that.
that one of the things I love most about this is when you get to know a client, so they'll come to me and say, "What do you think?" You get to that point of trust where they're
Yeah.
like, "Do you have anyone new and different maybe we haven't thought about?" I don't have to do the initial call. I'll just put ideas together once I have their dates. I'm like, "Hey, here's some people I want you to look at for next year," because lots of times I'll go and I'll meet their attendees and I'll really get to understand what they're looking for. And so then maybe, when I'm out and about and I see a new talent or maybe somebody they haven't talked about before, I think of them. And so
Uh-huh.
I think, and that's the truth and heart of a relationship. I feel like when you work with the same people who do a good job for you year after year, instead of kind of just fishing for
Mm,
guidance or help, really get to know someone that
yeah.
gets to know you and they're always looking out for you. And I think it makes your life easier in the end. And I think
Yeah.
it is more fun that way.
So you said you go and you sometimes go to the events where your speakers are and talk to attendees. That's pretty cool. Do other people, is that a common thing in your industry? I would think that that would be a unique selling proposition.
Yeah. We can't go to every event.
Mhm.
But there's certain ones I try and get to,
Yeah.
and if we can make it work, we do. In the beginning, it was funny. I used to go to help the speaker. So if I picked a celebrity, I'd go just to make sure everything ran smooth, and I still do
Yeah.
that. But I think I realized too, there's a lot of information when you talk to the attendees and you see the reaction of the speakers and you meet them, and you really get to know like the people because that makes me with my recommendations, I think, do better. And
Mhm.
so yeah, and when we
Yeah.
can, we like to go, but we book so many events, so many places. It's obviously something we can't do all the time, but it's great when it does happen. So
Yeah. So at Action Coach, we have a global conference every year and national conferences and things. And the opportunities that I've had, when the thoughtful speakers that I have had, the ones that are really great, have changed my life. That's a big deal. And I can think of a few of them, Marshall Goldsmith and oh, The Atomic Habits, that author of that book, and Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. You probably
yeah,
know him. He's
I
a kind of a,
and yeah, yeah. I mean,
he,
amazing speakers.
yeah.
And then when you say they change your life, I think I've always said, if I'm not going to be up there changing people's lives, I feel so honored to be a small part of it. If
Ooh,
I've
yeah,
recommended somebody and they call me and they're like, this lady came up to me crying, it just fills my bucket a little bit to know that I'm a small piece of that, and
yeah.
that maybe I helped make that connection for somebody. So
Mm,
that does fill us up. So.
that's great. That's cool. So you've been doing the entrepreneurial thing for a while now, 16 years. What's been the hardest part of entrepreneurship for you?
I think a lot of it is just it all falls on you, right? So,
Yeah.
and I have a partner, so it falls on
Uh-huh.
both of us. But we take it very serious that there are people that work for us, that their incomes are reliant upon us. That we what we do and how we succeed affects so many people, and I think that's just a big responsibility.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it just buck stops here, and so that can be a lot of pressure. Some days, you
Hmm.
just got to make sure you do well and do all the right things.
Yeah. No pressure there. No pressure, right?
Pressure.
This question wasn't in my questions I gave you in advance either, but how did you recover from COVID, or how did you make it through COVID? What was your strategy or your wake up call? I don't know.
I mean, let's be honest. There are days, thank God I had Julie, my business partner. I call and like, I was crying, you're just like
Wow.
so devastated. You're mourning, like, will this business come back? We
Mm,
obviously had all the like the PPP loans and things they put out for businesses like ours. And then
mhm,
a lot of clients went to virtual
mhm,
events. But it was, I mean, I think I always say I survived because I had a really good business partner. I had someone in, and of course I had, friends and family too that of course
sure.
were so supportive, and other people in the industry.
Mhm,
But really having that person every day where you're like, we're in this together. We're gonna do everything we can to stay afloat and to figure this out. And you can't just sit in the sadness of, we just kept trucking. Like we were like, okay, like
right.
clients were having little virtual events and we just had to keep our head up.
Yeah.
So I mean, thank God that's over.
Oh, right,
We
I
learned
know.
so much, and I
Uh-huh.
think we are always were grateful. But I do think our industry is even more grateful now, and how important in person is. Virtual will never replace, in like virtual
Will
ever replace
not.
in person. And I think that was something we learned from it. And I also am grateful that like things like Zoom, like this interview can happen. I before COVID, just think of how like everyone was on old school phones, and now we see our clients. Before I also try to think about the positives from COVID,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So now I used to have clients I'd never seen before, right? And now
Yeah.
it's like if you don't do Zoom, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't even hardly do the phone. In fact, my phone never rings. It did a minute ago, but it doesn't. It's other communication, and then we end up landing here, and it is the next best thing, I think, to being live, I guess,
Yeah,
especially one on one. And it does save travel, and you can do international. I mean, I've been on call at Action Coach with people from every country. I swear, every country in the world have been on that call, and that's pretty amazing.
yeah. I mean, there's so many
Hmm.
great things, and I think there are
Yeah,
certain things that you know companies now can have global meetings and bring content to their global teams in all
yeah,
different countries because of virtual. But there's always going to be those times where you meet and you have a live meeting, and it's like those conversations at the bar, those conversations in the hallway. Those little things just don't happen on virtual. So I think we all kind
right.
of saw like the benefits in different
Hmm.
ways that live is important and how virtual
Yeah.
supplements it.
Sounds like you came back better and stronger from it.
Yeah, we have for sure. We've
Mhm.
definitely bounced back and had some of our best years after
Oh,
COVID. So
good.
we're very blessed and thankful for that.
Good for you. So I asked you about the hard stuff. Now tell me, what's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, I think just the flexibility of getting to do things your own way, the decision making. I mean, you get to sit, and obviously I have a business partner, and we, thank goodness, get along great and think quite the same. And when we don't, it's good too. But
Yeah.
we can make those decisions, and we can run our company the way that maybe we've seen other companies not run well. We get to make ththose choices and get to give people a great life. And so I think
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of joy in that.
I love that. And you mentioned your team too, that you know that their income is dependent on you and the work that you do for the business. And I feel like a lot of successful entrepreneurs always think about their employees, it's like they know it's that's getting them to the next level. It's that team that
Yeah.
that are buying into that and vision with them with you. You know.
Yeah, and I think too for, our salespeople who they eat what they kill, it's our reputation. Like Julie and I have really grown our company with a really, we believe, good reputation so that when they
Uh-huh.
say who they're with, they get that response of like, oh, I know your
Mm.
company. Or, I've heard you guys have done such great work. And so we really try and give them that too of like, our name means everything in the industry. And, if it's not a good name, that's not helpful to them either. So
Yes, for sure. Cool. So, how do you start your day? What's your secret in the morning?
Oh my, I actually start my day, I call it the lay and pray, where I just lay in bed and I just pray and I
Mm,
say what I'm grateful for. I think about, maybe some of the challenges I have coming up in my day, and I kind of just try and center myself of like reminding myself. And I think because of the industry we're in, this isn't life or death. And so just kind of reminding myself like we can get through this, we can solve these problems for our clients, keeping the thought in mind that we can always solve a problem. We're people. We're all, I mean, people talking to people. Or if I have to deliver bad news that day, if there's something challenging going on, just making sure all's gonna work out, and just keeping myself even Steven for what's to come. So
hmm. I like that, lay and pray, and the gratitude thing too. I've heard that gratitude is the highest form of vibration feeling that we can have. Because if you're grateful, it's pretty hard to be mad or
yeah,
anything else. And there's
yeah,
plenty to be grateful for.
and we're so lucky. I mean, I think you hear stories of people who have lost limbs or loved ones, or I mean, there's some really amazing stories out there of people that have overcome such odds, and to hear those so often, if you're in this industry and you aren't grateful, you're never going to be
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, but you've heard those inspiring stories that lead a person to read a book and tell their story and change the lives of others.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've
Yeah.
heard so many, and so I think
Mm,
I'm very, very I had one client, he was
mm.
always like, "You have the best job in the world." And I was like, "I should be the smartest person in every room." I have heard so but I'm not, but I have heard so many smart people and
Yeah, uh-huh.
wonderful people, and I feel real lucky because a lot of people just get once a year, go to a conference to hear those people, and I get to hear them all the time. So
Oh, I am jealous. You have the greatest job in the world, I think, for
I love
sure.
it.
So how do you get inspired or what makes you feel inspired?
I mean, I think it really is all those speakers that we get to hear from.
Mm,
And there's, stories that I still, you cry, you are just in awe of what people go through and how they come out on the other side with great
mm.
attitudes. And so, again, all my speakers are so inspiring. And so I think that's, again, just so grateful and blessed for that.
Do you share how many speakers you work with, or is that something you don't? Or I was curious if you work
No,
with.
it's one of those things. So we don't exclusively rep anybody. So it's
Okay.
kind of like as we create relationships and find people, we can book virtually any speaker.
Okay.
There are limitations on some of those bigger political ones and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like our clients guide that. So,
Okay.
what are they looking for
Got it.
this year?
Got it.
Maybe we book one speaker 5, 10 times in one year and we barely book them the next year. I mean, it ebbs and flows really based on
Uh-huh.
the demand from our
Okay.
clients.
Very interesting. So I know you have a lot of people that speak for you that are authors. You told me that. So you can't really have a favorite book, but what if you had a favorite book or business book, what would it be and why?
I'm gonna give you two, and just
Okay.
because of how they affected me, right?
Okay.
So I think the first book that, and yeah, like I said, I can't pick my favorite child, but
Yeah.
I think the first book that really impacted me when I was still working for somebody else, but it was called The Carrot Principle, and it's by Chester Elton and Adrian Gostick, and they really talk about culture and how
Mm,
a lot of people aren't driven. It's not always about money, but it's about how they're appreciated at work and free things that you can do for your employees, like maybe extra days off to be with family or summer Fridays. Like we have summer Fridays. So our assistants they rotate every other Friday, they get off because they deserve to spend
wonderful.
time with family,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't cost us anything. We have a plan, we're always set up for it.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
just things that you can do for people that work with you that are going to make their lives better. And when you're in this role of power to do that, like don't maybe do the status quo. Ask them what's important to you. Not money, but like, is it spending time with your family? Is it gift cards? Is it a massage because you never get one? I mean, find those little things out that
Hmm.
maybe make their lives better. And so that book I
Yeah.
remember really impacted me,
Okay.
thinking, gosh, bosses could do better.
Yeah, for
And so I
sure.
think Julie and I really try and show our appreciation for our people all the time.
That's great.
And then the other, I love Mel Robbins. And so it's not a book, but I've read her book, but I
Okay.
listened to her podcast. I think it brings in lots of different perspectives on
Mm,
different things to like fill me as a person to be better, things I can work on with my personal development. And so obviously, I think having time to read is a lot harder these days. I have two kids. So I
yeah.
do love a good podcast in the car, and hers is wonderful.
Yeah, she always catches it's like another great thing she said. And she's so real, isn't she?
So real. I know Mal well. I've watched her
Oh,
tour in the speaking world and
yes.
her TV show and all the things she's done. And she's one of those where it wasn't easy when she got started to speak, but once it clicked fast. It
Mm-hmm.
was
Was
amazing.
it,
And she was
that
so good.
was the
So
5 second rule that catapulted her. I mean, it right. That's a great. I love that. It's like, oh, I think about that nearly every day when I'm getting up. Okay, I said I was going to get up. Five,
right.
four, three, two, one. Okay,
That
Mel,
is
you
right.
got me
Five, four,
again.
three, two, one.
There
That's a
you go.
strategy.
That's a
Right?
good one to add to that. That's awesome. So when your business is done and all, what do you hope people remember most about you? Or just what do you hope they remember about you, business or not?
Yeah, I always say I just hope that I make this world a little bit of a better place. And so whether it's something small where I just, I want my light to shine bright around other people, whether it's you say hi to somebody who maybe is having a rough day, or I just send a random Starbucks card, whatever it is, I just want
Hmm.
my presence to be for the good.
Yeah.
And to not be that black cloud that walks into a room, but really for people to be like, she was just nice, kind, loving, all those things that I think we all want to be. And
Yeah.
that, yeah, I just made this world better than it was.
And I bet you think your clients are nice and loving and supportive too, because you are a mirror. We attract what we are, right?
Yeah.
And so I bet you think your clients are all amazing and wonderful. And
I
think,
have some really, really great
yeah,
clients. So blessed, who are friends who, like, say a happy birthday, check in with you, and I love those relationships because it's
yeah.
not about the transaction. In our business,
Mhm.
you can work with so many different agents, get the same result. But I think the magic is just in the relationship of, I really enjoy doing business with you. And if we're gonna do something, let's enjoy it. And that's what I always
Oh,
say, let's make it
amen.
fun. Again, we're not doing brain surgery, we're not doing things that impact people's lives in that way. So let's just have a great time and.
Mhm. That's a really good little genre there. Because I mean, even brain surgeons don't have challenges all day long, just occasionally. Because really, and we're all so stressed
Yeah,
out like we're doing
like,
a,
oh my gosh, it's life and death. Where I'm like,
yeah,
we can figure
see,
this out, people.
we can, absolutely. There's a solution and it may not
Yeah.
be exact, but right. So, well, this has been interesting to me. And I think I'm so jealous that you know Mel Robbins. So
She's
jealous. That's great. And I know you know some other famous people that we talked about. So who are some other famous people? Do you want to say who you've placed in as speakers that people might know just for fun?
yeah, yeah. When I always tell the story, I just had a baby and I was doing a deal with Rob Lowe, like his team, to get him to go speak. And I
Okay.
met Rob at an event and he was so kind. We actually booked Kim Kardashian. Both one, she was pregnant with Northwest. So it was like before, no one can afford her now. I always have wanted to make a scrapbook just of all the people we've gotten to meet because I think it's so fascinating. When my kids were little, I booked Martin Short, and he was in Santa Claus.
Oh,
And I booked Goldie Hawn, and she was in that new Christmas Chronicle. So I love to be the mom that's like, my kids are like, don't really get what I do, but I'm like, I met them. See this picture?
that is so
You know,
cool.
so that's fun to
Oh,
do.
girl, you have a book to write about that. That would be a great story. A book, right? And then you could be a speaker.
Oh my God, yeah, right.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I think the industry is fascinating that you're in, and obviously you've made it through some really tough times and you're successful. You have a team, which is huge.
Yeah.
Hardly any businesses make it past 5 years, and look at you, even through COVID. So congratulations.
Well, I couldn't do it without Julie, and we're just so grateful to be here. And yeah, we're a team of all women, and so we're also
Oh,
proud of
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Of course, we're open to any, men joining the
Sure,
team.
absolutely. Get
We
it?
are really proud that
Yep. Yeah. It
it's
is
a
it
group
is kind of
of
fun to have
women,
you.
moms, and things like that.
Get it. Yeah. So if someone wants to find out about you or hire you or talk to you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah. So speakerexchangeagency.com is our website.
Okay.
My last name's hard, so I won't give you my last name. But if you want to do info at speakerexchangeagency.com, it would get to me.
Okay.
LinkedIn, you can find me, Brittany Kruetzer. We're on LinkedIn a lot as
Okay.
well, and social media as well. So
Okay. Good.
hear from anyone.
Well, thank you very much for for your interview today. I appreciate you. I learned a lot. It's interesting. I'm jealous. I will say that. I mean, I know Kim Kardashian and Rob Lowe and Martin Short and Goldie Hawn and all of those, and I'm probably many, many others. But I really appreciate you, Brittany Kruetzer, and you are the co-founder of the Speaker Exchange Agency LLC, and you're based out of Kansas City area. I'm Coach Lee with Action Coach Business Coaching, and this is the Business Spotlight. Thank you.
Thank you.